Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about the EU, the European Commission of sorts, one of the most corrupt organizations on the face of the earth, not just the World Economic Forum or the IOC, but many, many other organizations that allow censorship, that allow the trans agenda, they allow all kinds of crazy, ridiculous things that should never actually take place, but yet they allow it to take place. So the EU is trying to blackmail Elon Musk. So if you haven't already heard, Donald Trump is back on Twitter, which is going to make this year's election that much more interesting because, as we know, Twitter kind of got him in trouble the last election cycle. People, were going, what in the world are you saying over on Twitter? But I don't really care, to be honest. Like, if you say something on Twitter that I disagree with, I'm going to disagree with you. It's part of living in a democratic, free speech society. You're allowed to say stuff, and if you disagree with what that person says, so be it. As long as you've got a good point as to why you're disagreeing with that person, or you may just disagree with them. So what? Like it, lump it, move over, move on, please. Like, it's not that hard. But yet you have these people that are within these kind of organizations that think they're top brass and think that they can actually make these major decisions that are going to really affect the lives of ordinary individuals like myself and you guys watching this by saying that people like Elon Musk that bought Twitter and allowed free speech to reign supreme over on that platform. And honestly, I don't know what the world would look like at the moment without Twitter and without the truth sort of circulating over on there, because the mainstream media censors everything and they twist it and they make it all about the other side. It's not a fair thing. It's not a fair story anymore. Never. It's always a left-leaning viewpoint with the mainstream media now. Even the right sort of leaning media outlets now are turning left. It's quite concerning. So I love the fact that you've got people like Elon Musk that stand up to the likes of tyrants, such as this person that is trying to censor Elon Musk. Let's see if I can get her name correct. Thierry Breton. Theory, or whatever the hell her name is. And look, I'm going to read out the letter that Thierry Breton sent Elon Musk as a warning and a threat. But before I do that, I'm going to read out Elon Musk's comment back to Thierry Breton because it is quite funny, actually. So if you guys know the movie Tropic Thunder, funny movie. Tom Cruise plays an agent in that movie and he's always swearing. And he comes up with some of the best one-liners ever. And it's amazing how, Tropic Thunder in today's day and age still isn't canceled, the amount of things that they got away with there. But that's comedy for you. That's part of living in a democratic society. Something which Kamala Harris, Ben Stiller wouldn't know anything about. But anyway, Elon Musk goes, to be honest, I really wanted to respond with this Tropic Thunder meme, but I would never do something so rude and irresponsible. So here it is. Take a big step back and literally F your own face. And by the way, Matthew McConaughey's in that movie too. It's quite funny, actually. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's read out the Thierry Breton, whatever the hell her name is. Anyway, she's an absolute tyrant and should be treated as such. Dear Mr. Musk, I am writing to you in the context of recent events in the United Kingdom and in relation to the planned broadcast of your platform X of a live conversation between a US presidential candidate and yourself. So if I didn't already mention, Trump is back on Twitter and going to be having a live conversation with Elon Musk very soon, actually, which will also be accessible to users in the EU. Oh, no, we can't have users in the EU see a conversation between Mr. Musk and Donald Trump. Can't possibly have that. That's considered hateful. So we're going to cancel and we're going to censor you. I understand that you are currently doing a stress test, the platform. In this context, I am compelled to remind you of any due diligence and obligations set out in the Digital Services Act, DSA, as outlined in my previous letter. So this is not the first letter that Breton has sent over to Elon Musk as the individual in an entity ultimately controlling a platform with over 300 million users worldwide, of which 1/3 in the EU, that has been designated as a very large online platform. You have the legal, I love how they throw that word out there, legal obligation to ensure X's compliance with EU law, and in particular, the DSA in the EU. So effectively what they're saying, you can't broadcast a conversation with Trump because we don't want you to. And we're going to remind you of that fact. In fact, we're going to blackmail you. That's how important and powerful we think we are. This notably means ensuring, on one hand, that freedom of expression and of information, including media freedom and pluralism, are effectively protected, and on the other hand, that all proportionate and effective mitigation measures are put in place regarding the amplification of harmful content in connection with relevant events, including live streaming, which, if underaddressed, might increase the risk of profile of X and generates detrimental effects on civic discourse and public security. Again, we want to remind you that you are allowed to do this, but yet you're not allowed to do it because we say so. Just be very, very careful, Mr. Musk, because if you're not careful of a live stream with President Trump, then that could cause a great deal of public discourse. We want to remind you of that. This is important against the background of recent examples of public unrest brought about by the amplification of content that promotes hatred, disorder, incitement of violence, of certain instances of disinformation. What you consider disinformation and what is actually real disinformation are two different things, mate. So, yeah. Anyway, it also implies informing EU judicial and administrative authorities without undue delay on the measures taken to address their orders against content considered illegal. You guys consider a lot of things illegal, according to national and or EU law, taking timely, diligent, non-arbitrary and objective action upon receipt of notices by users considering certain amount or certain content illegal. Informing users concerning the measures taken upon receipt of the relevant notice, and 4, publicly reporting about content moderation measures. I'm sure Elon already knows all this, but anyway, thank you for reminding him and all of us too. In this respect, I note that the DSA obligations apply within exceptions or discrimination to the moderation of the whole user community and context of X, including yourself as a user with over, we've got to remind people of, he's got 190 million followers, which is accessible to EU users and should be fulfilled in line with the risk-based approach of the DSA, which requires greater due diligence in case of a foreseeable increase of the risk profile. Love these people. You really, really do love them, don't you? They're insane. As you know, formal proceedings are already ongoing against X under the DSA, notably in areas linked to the disinformation of illegal content and the effectiveness of the measures taken to combat disinformation. Right. As the relevant content is accessible to EU users and being amplified also in our jurisdiction, we cannot exclude potential spillovers to the EU. Therefore, we are monitoring the potential risks in the EU associated with the disinformation of content that may incite violence, hate, and racism in conjunction with major political or societal events around the world, including debates and interviews in the context of elections. We can't have debates anymore because that is considered to incite violence and be hateful and everything else that she mentioned that is just absurd. Just far out, man. Let me clarify indeed. Thierry Breton is a tyrant. That any negative effect of illegal content on X in the EU, which could attribute to the ineffectiveness of the way in which X applies the relevant provisions of the DSA, may be relevant in the context of the ongoing proceedings and of the overall assessment of X's compliance with the EU law. This is in line with what has already been done in the recent past, for example, in relation to the repercussions and amplification of terrorist content or content that incites violence, hate, and racism in the EU. such as the context of the recent riots in the United Kingdom. Yeah, right. So this is just pathetic. But anyway, we're going to remind Mr. Musk that you can't have free content, forgetting that we're all adults here. We can all make up our damn minds. And it's not the fact that social media is, like responsible for what people think or see or whatever else. But no, we're going to indoctrinate young kids and have that be okay. But we can't actually show the truth of the matter. Because we're all adults, but yet we're not allowed to be adults because we've got to be protected from harm, according to this person. I therefore urge you to promptly ensure the effectiveness of your systems and to report measures taken to my team. You are a control freak, mate. My services and I will be extremely vigilant to any evidence that points to breaches of the DSA. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you'll be watching Mr. Musk very, very closely there, love, and will not hesitate. Of course you won't. The moment you see anything that you disagree with, you're going to be like a pretty, like a panther or tiger or whatever, pouncing on your prey because you don't like it. Make full use of our toolbox, including by appointing interim measures should it be warranted to protect EU citizens from serious harm. Yours sincerely, Theory Breton. Good grief. So that was rather interesting, wasn't it? So you have Theory Breton on Twitter or X going, with great audience comes greater responsibility. Youth, don't misuse. Please do not misuse one of the greatest lines ever said in history by Spider-Man or Uncle Ben. Please don't misuse that term or sentence or statement. And I certainly don't want you using it, but this person looks rather interesting as an individual. That's all I'll say. Anyway, as there is a risk of amplification of potentially harmful content in the EU in connection with events with major audience around the world, I sent this letter to Mr. Musk. It's quite a lengthy letter. Michael Schellenberger goes, "You are a tyrant. Sit down." I love his response. "You are a tyrant. Sit down. Lives a TikTok go. Election interference from a foreign country. Surprise, surprise. Clown world. Typical EU tyrant trying to stifle free speech under the guise of responsibility. We won't bow down to your censorship. Free speech is a non-negotiable, Breton. Stay in your lane." I don't even think Breton knows what her lane actually is. I think her lane is to go, let's destroy free speech. Anyway, my friends, I thought that I would showcase this story to you all, let you all have your say. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But you guys take care. You be blessed. And I'll see you all in the next video.